Hello and welcome along to this week's edition of The Match. Don't know about you, I've just about recovered from Tuesday night's dramatic 3-2 win over Manchester City in the Champions League. Attention now turning back to domestic matters with a trip to the district of Vallecas on Sunday. Next up for Real Madrid for the derby against Rayo Vallecano. Delighted to say I'm joined, as always, by Tim Stannard from 442 magazine. Tim, welcome along.
A pleasure to be here.
We'll discuss Rayo in just a moment, but first let's reflect on Tuesday night. We were both in the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
What a match.
I'm still having flashbacks. You said you haven't recovered from it. So I'm still thinking about the game and still thinking about what happened. And it was always going to be the champions of England against the champions of Spain, Real Madrid, going for the Champions League this season. So there's already a huge amount of story behind it. And sometimes those games can disappoint, can't they? There can be cagey affairs. Of course, you don't want to start your Champions League campaign with a defeat. And in Manchester City's case, maybe they want to go for the draw, perhaps.
Yeah.
And they had you see all the fans here. They brought.
Well, it was a huge occasion for them, wasn't it?
There was an oasis, you could say, in the stands for the Manchester City ones, and it was a brilliant atmosphere, basically, because for the first time in a long time, we've had really, in the group stages anyway, really good opposition at the Santiago Bernabeu. With all respect to teams like Olympiacos or Dynamo Zagreb in the past, and the game delivered everything. It's the storyline, the narrative changed from. Madrid might lose this, they're back in it. They might lose it again, they're back in it. OK, a draw, then you start thinking, that's not too bad, it's a solid way to start. And then they win it, and then, as Jose Mourinho said, the newspaper writers had to go delete, 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 start all over again. And you could see everyone looking at their laptops going, what? Ronaldo scored? And doing exactly that. It's what makes you love football. That game was about just brilliant football and completely unpredictable action.
Talking about the newspaper writers, we can look at some of the headlines from the next day here in Madrid from the sports dailies. Marca going with Madrid does have a team, referring to the real unity showed by the side, and AS going with legendary comeback, remontada de leyenda. Was this a sort of typical performance from a Jose Mourinho side?
Well, I'm not sure in the last 15 minutes, because it was actually quite anarchic in a good way. It really was kitchen sink stuff, wasn't it? And Roberto Mancini was a little bit critical about his team, saying, well, we defended too deep, but there's nothing you can do when you have Ronaldo, when you have Ozil, when you have Modric, when you have Di Maria, Benzema, just charging down on you. What are you supposed to do? Like, say, come on, lads, push them back 30 yards up the other end of the pitch. They'll just beat the offside trap. It was brilliant. Just, yeah, kitchen sink stuff, and it came through, and it basically, it was already a good game at 2-2, 3-2. It was, I think, a legendary game. Were you impressed with the intensity that Real Madrid started the match with, right from the first minute? Yeah, this was where I think Manchester City missed a trick a bit. I think in the Santiago Bernabeu, if you start strongly, then it makes things easy for you. But instead, they did sit back, and they let perhaps Real Madrid get back that confidence. And I enjoyed actually seeing Sami Khedira up front, because I think he's very underrated in Spain, because they see him in that dreaded central midfield position alongside Xabi Alonso, which is always difficult for the fans to enjoy, because you don't see a lot of the work he does. But Khedira got to push forward, and this surprised Mancini. I'm sure he would have been expecting an Ozil or a Modric, but David Platt style, he actually comes into the box quite late and very nearly scored. Yeah, it caused a lot of problems, didn't he? Let's hear from some of the protagonists of the match, Michael Essien and Cristiano Ronaldo. But first, the main man, the manager himself, Jose Mourinho.
So the game was changing. It was changing, and the result was pushing the coaches to make decisions. So I think was a very good match for the crowd, but it was also a very good match for the people that understands football deeply, because the game was rich.
It was a very difficult game, but we managed to come back strongly. You know, the team showed their great character, so I think we deserve to win.
What's the mood like in the dressing room after that one?
Well, everyone is happy, you know, because when we lost in Sevilla, it was not good. But you know, to win tonight and come back as we did, everyone is happy, so it's good for us.
Well, Cristiano back with a vengeance after a difficult weekend. What's the mood like in the camp now?
Well, the mood is better now. You know, when we win, it's always change the face. So we had a bad game, the last game, so we should change. This is what's happened today. We play very well. In the beginning, we create many chances in the first half, and in the second half, I think we play good too. So we deserve to win. We play against a fantastic team, which is Manchester City, the champions of England. So we are in a good way, and we start with a winning in Champions League, so it is good.
everybody involved in that match looking a little bit emotionally, not to mention physically drained. But important, Tim, for Real Madrid to come through that match without any injuries.
Absolutely. I think, as you said, they're going to be emotionally drained, excited. I doubt many of those players involved slept on the night of the game, or at least till 3-4 in the morning, sort of reliving a fantastic encounter.
All the adrenaline as well.
Yeah, this is what footballers like as well. They want a real battle, and you can see Jose Mourinho there just looking exhausted, I think, because he said that managers really had to think. But yeah, for the players, this was a huge relief, you could say. It's like maybe putting away a difficult start to the season in the domestic campaign and getting back. But as you said, a match normally against the English champions, Premier League champions with a point to prove would be quite intense, physical, all the sort of stereotypes. And it did match that. There were some fruity tackles going on in there, but the players did seem to come out of that unscathed. And again, we're really seeing the huge squad, the huge talent that they do have at their disposal at the moment. And when you looked at that bench against Manchester City, some of the players on it they could bring on, well, you could bring on Benzema, you could bring on Modric or Kaká or whoever. It was an incredible depth they have.
Yeah, I think it was the two most expensive substitute benches in the world. Let's take a look at some of the images of Real Madrid players training. Everybody, like I said, looking fairly relaxed, happy, good atmosphere within the camp. And like we said, no injuries ahead of this trip to Rayo Vallecano, which isn't an easy place to go to.
No, this is going to be another, I suppose you could say, compact physical game against a team who they play with 3 at the back, but they also play with 5 in midfield, which means we're going to be maybe seeing a very similar lineup to the previous one. But you have to fight for your points in Vallecas. I think Real Madrid will get them, but they really have to fight for them. Let's think back to the game last season. I think it's another one that Jose Mourinho really enjoyed, and he actually does. Interesting thing he did say in the press conference is, I don't expect my team to win everything 6-0 or even to win every game. This is football. What I do want them to do is to fight and to sort of die. Is it fight like animals to the last minute? And that's what we saw against Man City. And I'm not sure they'll be fighting like animals against Rayo, but they'll have to certainly really go for it.
Well, let's take a look at who Tim thinks will be in the starting 11 for Real Madrid in that match against Rayo Vallecano on Sunday evening.
Not too many changes. I think we want to see SCN getting up to speed. So I think to sort of fight against this, what might be a difficult competitive 5-man midfield on a narrow pitch against Rayo. So Khedira, Xabi Alonso and SCN. I think we'll also see Benzema is the main change coming in for Higuain. Higuain had a really intense start to the season, played a lot of games, went to Argentina and played in that one, and I think Benzema looked very sharp. Maybe he just got the rest he needed, and what a brilliantly taken goal that we saw against Manchester City. So I think that's going to be the major change.
Quick word about Rayo Vallecano as well. Yep. They're a small team, but it's always a really difficult place to go, and they've had a pretty decent start to the season.
Yeah, incredibly small team with only 3 sides to their stadium. So this is one of the most fun. It's one of the most fun places to go, but it's an incredibly passionate fans who really sing from beginning to end. And this Jose Mourinho was saying what a great club it was and how much enjoyable game. So it's going to be Sunday night, so it's going to be a really good atmosphere there. It's going to be a good scrap. The players in Real Madrid who like a good scrap are going to enjoy this game. Again, back to the fruity tackles. But Rayo last season were a good team with enormous spirit. This season, although they've had a good start, a much weaker team. They've lost Michu, they lost Diego Costa, who went back to Atletico Madrid. They've lost 34 goals or so from last season. Yes, they're 3 strikers. They go all-out attack and see what happens, basically. OK, let's take a look at some of the other matches taking place in the Spanish top flight this weekend and get Tim's predictions. Zaragoza against Osasuna. I think this one's going to draw, I think, for this one. I really don't know on that one. Celta Getafe. Home win for Celta. Celta's solid start, but not getting the points they deserve. Betis Espanyol. Betis really enjoy at the moment. Barcelona Granada. Barcelona home win. Mallorca Valencia, sorry to rush you. I think that's going to be a draw. Levante Sociedad. Home win. Atleti against Valladolid. Going to that one, a good home win. Athletic against Malaga. A draw. Rayo against Real Madrid. Real Madrid to win that one 3-0. Deportivo against Sevilla. I think that'll be a sneaky draw. OK, so those are all the matches taking place in the Spanish top flight this weekend. Tim has predicted a 3-0 victory for Real Madrid. Fingers crossed for another great performance from Los Blancos. Hopefully they don't leave it quite as late to get the winning goal. That's all we've got time for on the match this week. From Tim and myself, it's adios.